and welcome to week 4 of the live chats of HIM250 coding classification 3, or as we call it, the capstone, getting you ready to get certified. Yay. And can you believe we're halfway there? So this week, your chapter readings are going to bring you to just review ICD-10 CM, diagnosis coding, and ICD-10 PCS, inpatient procedure coding. Okay, and the one theme that I saw going through all the analyses and all the tests that you have all taken over the last 2 to 3 weeks, depending on how many were done, is that and this is almost across the board, that you're getting incorrect answers because once you go back and you do the analysis, you realize you didn't read the detail in the scenario, or you didn't pay attention to this specific code description. And so the one thing that I can tell you to all of you is you got to pay attention to detail. Specifics matter. You got to take a deep breath. You got to, yes, you got to pace yourself, but keep moving forward so you don't lose time, but you're still getting all of the information. Now, I understand that, you know, sometimes it's hard, you're nervous, okay? The clock is ticking, but you can do it. I have confidence in you. Yes, you, Nikki.
that I told my sisters, they were like, well, you can do better, you got it. I said, honey, I was on Crazy Train and I done hit some cars, I hit some people. That train was
Well,
running.
I gotta tell you something, is I told you last night, Nikki, that I had a really super tough week last week myself. And but in reading all of the analyses, when I graded them all this morning, it's not just you and it's not just me. So I think maybe there was something going on in the atmosphere. You know, I have mentioned this before, when there's a hurricane, I find that it, in subtle ways and sometimes not so subtle ways, it affects people. And maybe this big snowstorm that came from California all the way up to the up and the East Coast, maybe that has its effect on us also. Just because we don't have snow doesn't mean it doesn't affect us. You know, there's that butterfly effect. When a butterfly flaps its wings down in the Amazon, you know, a tree falls in Canada. So we just got to do the best we can, and there's no way to predict it, but deep breaths. Cocoa sometimes helps too. Okay. All right. So the new information I want to give you this week is I have no idea how many, or how many questions, or even if there will be any questions about COVID coding. Say that 3 times fast. COVID coding, COVID coding, COVID coding. Okay. In my heart, it would be logical to me. Okay. Yet some of these codes are not yet, some of them are in your 2021 coding manuals, and some of them are not yet because they were just released. So I thought I would just cover the basics. I don't think you would need anything more intimate than this. There are three codes for COVID, which are similar in concept and coding policy, if you will, with any other infectious disease. Okay, so if you think back to your guidelines for HIV coding, it's going to be similar to that in that you're going to have one code for, I don't know if I have it, exposure. This is going to be the medical necessity for taking the test. Okay.
Okay.
And so here we have code Z20.828. And you'll notice that the code is not even specific to COVID. So this is already in your coding manual, but you'll notice that it specifically states exposure to viral communicable diseases, because that's what
That
COVID
the
is.
same,
It's a virus. Huh?
isn't that one like what we used when suspected exposure to like HIV? Wasn't that one of the ones
Yeah,
that we used?
yes,
Okay.
yes, yes. Because HIV also is a
Oh,
virus and it's also communicable.
okay.
Okay. And you notice for right now, we're using other viral communicable diseases because at this point in time, there's not a specific
Yeah.
COVID exposure code.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So that I just want to let you know. So if they decide to kind of change things up, they can just say the patient came in worried about being exposed to COVID-19 instead of HIV. You're in the same place with the same code. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Then we have, well, if the patient comes in with signs and symptoms of
Mhm.
COVID, again, this is exactly what you know. This is exactly this is coding 101, diagnosis coding. If we don't have a confirmed diagnosis, then you code what you know, you code signs and symptoms, okay? So
Okay.
that is also perfectly normal, perfectly what you already know. It's just that if I don't want it to throw you if it says COVID, okay?
Mhm.
And remember, if the documentation also states, well, the patient thinks he or she was exposed to COVID
Mhm.
and we have shortness of breath, fever, then you would code all of those. You would code Z20.8 to 8 as well as the specific signs and symptoms, because as I stated before, specificity is what we do.
Now, is there a code? Do we have a code in our coding manual for like one of the symptoms now after everything came out was like loss of taste, loss of smell? Do we
I
have a
I y- I believe there are. They would be in the R codes.
okay.
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 Um, and it is logical because again, COVID-19 is not the first and it won't be the last virus to cause that. And
Yeah.
there are other things that would cause loss of taste, loss of smell. Okay.
Okay.
So I would believe I can't tell you off the top of my head, but yes,
Okay.
I would believe that that would be there. Okay.
Okay.
Um, and so far, even though it's COVID and it's new, it's
Uh-huh.
exactly what we already know. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So that's good. And now we do have a brand new code for confirmed, excuse me, confirmed COVID-19. It has
Mhm.
its very own special code. Not only does it have its own code, it has its own entire section. We have
Oh,
never had U codes before in ICD-10 CM.
so
So
that's in the new, that's in the 2021 ICD-10 book.
I don't think wait, no, actually, I do think it's there. Let me see. Hang on. That I can answer. Oy. Yeah, that's what we need. Add more codes because the book's not big enough.
The book is heavy enough.
But then you don't have to go to the gym. Okay.
No.
All
Mm-mm.
right, that's my excuse. Um, the answer is no, it is not in the book yet. It is not
Okay.
in the 2021 coding manual. This has been released separately. Okay. So, you don't have to memorize it because we don't believe in memorizing.
Uh-uh.
The chances of this actually being on the test because it's not in the manual is unlikely. However, just in case, and because my students are the smartest people on the planet, all right, just remember the U, okay? You don't have to remember the numbers because there actually are only 2 U codes. So if you see a U, then you'll know that that's it.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So it'll be easily recognizable. All right. For ICD-10 PCS treatments, now this would be all those patients in the hospital who are in the COVID section. They are being treated. Now, it's a long list of, excuse me, there are a long list of codes for all of the different treatments, everything from treatment, active treatment, to the vaccines. And what's very interesting, although the vaccines have been added to CPT, okay, but it's interesting that there's a different code for each brand of the vaccine. So if the patient gets a Pfizer vaccine, that's a different code than if a patient gets a Moderna vaccine. And I know that that's not inpatient, that's outpatient, but I just thought it was interesting and I would share it with you.
Now
Because
you
it,
got me. Now you got me wanting to see what my code looked like, because I have five. I took the Pfizer. I took the 2 shots.
oh, good.
Yeah.
So I can actually tell you, but my point is that this concept goes to the heart of why we code, and the primary reason why we code and why the codes have to be so specific is because we feed knowledge, because when the data is specific,
Mm-hmm.
6 months from now or a year from now, they can run that computer program and take a look at who got which vaccine and what the ultimate results were in a heartbeat, because that's how computers do it. Okay.
Yeah.
But without the specifics, we would be less informed, we would have less knowledge,
Mm-hmm.
because it would be, it's, I don't know if you have ever heard of someone. I know we hear it on television on the medical shows because it's always very dramatic, but it's horrible in real life. When a patient presents with specific signs and symptoms, and the doctor says, it could be anything. I don't know what that is. I honestly think that that's the worst thing you could hear from a doctor.
We have that in the unit. We
Okay.
have that. We've
So
had some patients that they thought it was pneumonia or something, and it wasn't. It turned out to be something worse.
right.
Yeah. So yeah.
But I think no matter what it is better than I don't know.
Yeah.
Because I don't know doesn't have an acceptable treatment plan.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I provided you with the links here, the link here, if you want to look into more about this. But and I don't think this is going to be on the exam, but you guys are already in real life or close to real life, and COVID is without a doubt part of real life, and it looks like it's going to be here for a while. So I at least wanted you to be aware that while it might not be on the exam, chances are good you will encounter it on the job. And so this way you at least know where to go and to even look for new codes, because they may not yet be in, even though you may have 2021 coding manuals, some of these codes were not released until October, November, or December. So, and that includes CPT codes. So I want you to at least be alert because all the books were printed by then. All right. So to know, and then you have the internet, you can find this out. You can go to cms.gov and other sources that are reliable to obtain the code so you can do your job properly. Okay. So this part is more for your future knowledge than it is
Okay.
for the test. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Any questions so far? Okay. Chapter 5, diagnosis coding. Chapter 6, ICD-10 PCS explains what the hospital did for the patient or to the patient. Okay. We're not coding supplies or stuff, but remember that if we take a typical surgical event, okay, patient is wheeled in on a gurney, placed on the operating table. Okay. You know that the hospital is supplying the equipment, like the operating table, the linens, okay, the air conditioning or the heat, okay, all of those equipment, all of that equipment, monitors and everything like that. And the hospital is also providing the staff, the surgical nurses and the techs, okay?
Okay.
That is what ICD-10 PCS coding is reporting the hospital's participation, if you will, in the procedure.
Okay.
Okay. The physician doing the procedure gets reported with CPT codes, no matter where the procedure, no matter what he or she is doing, that gets reported with CPT codes. The anesthesiologist, CPT codes. But everything else is represented by the ICD-10 PCS code. Okay. Now we're going to call it the same thing. All right. We're going to call it the revision of a spleen, aka a splenectomy, or whatever it might be. Okay. Because that way we have the established standards of care. We already know. Well, we may not know, but they know all of the steps that go into a splenectomy. Okay. They know exactly what is needed, how it's done, everything. Okay. So it's much easier to say splenectomy, here's the part that the hospital did. Splenectomy, here's the part that the physician, the surgeon did. And splenectomy, here's the part that the anesthesiology did. Okay. And the good news is that's 3 medical coders who got jobs from one procedure.
True.
Yes. Okay. Again, 2021. I know I didn't upgrade the picture, but it's okay. Chapters 5 and 6, you know how to do this already. You take the quiz, deep breath, okay? Stay focused, stay calm, use your finger like you do, okay? Touch each question only once. Read each question twice before you think about the answer. Read each answer if it's multiple choice before you think about which one to click on. Then you click, or if it's a fill in the blank, you type. Then you double check what you entered and then click next and be done with that. Okay. And that last part, double check what you entered. You know, we had 3 students in chapters 2 and 3, or maybe chapter 4. I did them both this morning, who got answers wrong because they made a typo. In two different students added an S at the end of a word And so it got wrong. I mean, it was marked wrong because it is wrong. And the reason I'm not giving the points back is because you have to pay attention. You might say, well, what's the difference? So I made it multiple. Well, maybe in this specific instance, it wouldn't matter. However, the first rule is that in real life, there are computers that are reviewing your claim forms, not people.
Mhm.
So if there's an S there or an A or a 1, there's not a human there to say, "Oh, I know exactly what you meant. It's okay. I got it." Well, I know it's a typo. Okay. There are
Mhm.
no humans there. It's a computer. Computers are, it's either exactly what I'm supposed to be seeing or it's wrong.
Yeah.
Okay. In worst case scenarios, your typo could totally mess up a patient's life.
Yeah.
Okay. So I may sound like a pain in the neck because I am, but you got to get a little OCD about these things, seriously. And this is the best way. Losing a couple of points on a quiz is the easiest way to learn a lesson like this. You do your best, you think about it, you put your answer, you double check your answer, and then move on. Okay?
Yeah, because this is that
And
was
then you're going to go back and you're going to review what you got wrong and you're going to learn from it. And that is the best part, is when you learn from your mistakes.
Mhm.
Okay. I am one of those people. I truly, truly believe that life is a bunch of lessons that we have to learn. Okay.
I believe that too.
And if you learn the lesson, you get to move on. There's always another lesson to learn. Okay. But
Mhm.
if you don't learn your lesson,
You repeat it.
you're going to repeat it and repeat it and repeat it until you learn the lesson. And if
Yeah.
you don't believe me, just ask men and women who have been married for 4 times. Okay, not me. But I mean, I can't even think of a better example of that. Okay,
Yeah,
so
I told somebody that before. I believe everything is already written to happen, and it's an experience you got to learn.
that's
And
it.
if you don't learn it, you're going to repeat it. If you do learn it, then you go on to the next level.
Exactly. I totally agree. I couldn't agree more. It's
Mhm.
absolutely. And so this is this is why we have you do these analyses every week, is because it's the best way for you to learn this lesson. I mean, I could come back up and say, oh, you lost 3 points because you added an S when you shouldn't have. But that's not going to really get into you. It's when
Yeah.
you do the analysis that it's going to help. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right, the additional stuff that I provided you with is the CERT medical record documentation
Okay.
and evaluation and management services. Now, I understand that this exam is not going to have E&M coding because it's an inpatient, it's in hospital, okay? It's only PCS, there's no CPT. However, I wanted to provide this with you, download it, put it in a folder for your reference. And I'll
Okay.
tell you why is a lot of hospitals, in addition to the regular hospital stuff that you will coding, a
Hmm.
lot of hospitals also have hospitalists. These are physicians who actually are employees of the hospital. They're paid by the hospital. They get a salary. They don't have outside offices. But when it comes to claim forms, you still have to submit CPT claims for them. Okay.
We have them. They also PAs and NPs also.
Exactly. You
Yeah.
got it. Okay. So this was just something, it seemed that it might be helpful for you to understand documentation and things, but also for you to kind of tuck in the side, because the more skills and knowledge you have that you can bring to a job at a hospital, the more valuable a staff member you will be.
Okay.
Valuable staff members get to, one, keep their jobs, number two, get promotions, and number three, get raises. We like that, right?
Yes.
All righty then. That's all I have to share with you today. I hope I helped you.
You have what I did is what I'm doing on top of reading tonight. I have to work, so I'm gonna just go back over and just I'm gonna read the chapters tonight on my break. So
Okay.
and get
Well,
that.
if you have any questions, if you come to something and you go, I'm not really sure,
One question,
shoot me an email.
you said
Okay.
that we were going to go over and complete the application during this class time.
Are you
During,
ready to do that?
no, I'm just
Okay.
no, no. I was just saying, do you know how much it costs so that I could put that aside so I can have it when I do the
I
application?
can, I can, I can. Let me see if I can. You know what? I'll tell you what. I'm sure a lot of people have that question, so I am going to look it up and I will post it in the announcements. Okay.
Okay, because I
All
just
right.
wanted to see how much it was going to cost so that I could.
Yeah, it's a bunch of bucks.
Yeah, because I see because I I
Uh,
said I wish now when we take the test, are we gonna need the ICD 10 CM 2021 book? Okay, so we have to purchase that book. Okay.
Both the 2021 CM and the PCS. Oh, but you already have the PCS
Yeah, we
2021,
got the
right?
PCS
Okay.
this
All
semester,
right.
but
Now,
we need to get the other one.
just because I like to be creative,
Mm-hmm.
when the time comes, uh, see if you can borrow one from the hospital where you work, because they may have a 2021 ICD-10 CM book.
Uh-huh.
All right. And remember, you're only borrowing it for a day. You're just going to take it, go take the test, and come back.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing, and I have not discussed this with Ms. Johnson, but you might want to see if they have one either in the school library, or if Ms. Johnson can help you borrow one from the bookstore for a day.
Okay.
Okay. I am not saying you can do this. I'm saying ask. You never know unless
Okay.
you ask. So that's two ideas that may help you kind of eliminate that expense, maybe, possibly. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Thank
So,
you.
all right. Have a good one. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you in the classroom. And while you're reading tonight, shoot me
Uh-huh.
an email with a question if you have one or you're not sure
Okay.
about it. Okay.
All right.
All right.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye-bye.